Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is FARID bin HALIMI.
My name is ATIQAH binti GHAZALI.
My name is AMIRAH bin ROSMAHADI.
My name is Hafizuddin bin IBRAHIM. Today, I'm going to present the topic in the chapter 2 for the public sector accounting. The topic is the government structure and the legal framework. Introduction. The financial aspect of a government has become a benchmark of an effective and efficient nation. Accounting system must be designed to permit effective administrative control of public funds and to facilitate audit. The system and the procedure can be divided into two, financial and non-financial procedure. In the public sector legal framework, we can find that there are federal constitution which is provide framework. Next, we find the Financial Procedure Act 1957 who power the enact. Next is Audit Act 1957, the provision for the audit of the government account at federal, state, and local authority. Treasury instruction is the rule that approved and documented. Treasury Secretary new rules introduced from time to time. Government Accounting Standard (PPK), also known as Piawan Accountant Kerajaan, basis for the preparation of government financial statement. IPSA developed by IFAC, which will improve the quality and comparability of financial info. Last one is the MPSASS. The financial provision of Federal Constitution. In the Article 96, there are 112 of Federal Constitution provide financial provision to all the government level in Malaysia. 70 article act as the basis for the managing the financial aspect of the government in operation since colonial administration and proven to be flexible and able to cope with the change of government and time. Objective of financial provision. The first one is to establish the general framework for the control of public expenditure by the legislator. Next is to provide a good financial management system in the government. Then govern the method of which public funds are to be administered and accounted for. Then is define the borrowing power of federal and state government. Next, provide guideline on the maintenance of specific consolidated fund by the federal and state government. The last one for the objective of financial provision is the provide guideline on the preparation of budget and annual statement of asset and liability. Revenue for this government is the federal and state government revenue. In the Article 96 for the Federal Constitution, no tax or rate shall be levied by or for the purpose of the federation except authorized by the federal law. All proceeds of revenue are due to the federal government except those that are assigned to the state, and those are allocated by local authorities and religious department. 3 of the 10th schedule. The revenue is the entertainment duties, fees from the courts and treasure trove. So, the revenue, the state government has limited source of revenue but receive annual financial assistance from federal government in terms of grant. Grant can be classified into the two categories. The first one is statutory grant, and the second one is non-statutory grant. These are the list on the statutory grant. Capitation grant at 109, state road grant at 109 1B, state reserve fund at 196 column 6, export duty on tin, export duty on iron ore and other minerals, special grant and assign of revenue to state Sabah and Sarawak, revenue growth, composition and annual assignment to the Selangor and federal coterraries, maintenance assistance to the local authorities, assistance according to the economic development, infrastructure and society well-being level and NFC. In the non-statutory grant is to contribute in aid of rate assistance at 156, payment for service rendered at 80 column 5, advance to the state government, and last one is the loan to the state government at 111 column 2. Statutory grant can be categorized into the three. The first one for the category is payable under Article 109 of the Federal Constitution. The example is capitation grant, state road grant, state reserve fund. Second category is approved by the NFC. The example is grant for infrastructure, payable under various acts of the parliament. The example of this category is revenue growth grant, iron ore, export duty, and grant. That's all from me.
So I will continue for the capitation grant. The purpose is to assist state in their operating expenditure that based on the population of particular state. Article 109 Clause 2 of Federal Constitution state that the rate can be changed but not lesser than 90% of the previous year. Next, we can see the section 1, part 1 of the 10th schedule. There is the allocation of the rate in the textbook page 46. Okay, next is the state road grant. The purpose is to maintaining the state road in the state. The explanation at Article 109 Clause 1 Clause B, Section 2 Part 2 and Section 5 Part 2. Okay, next is the calculation of the Section 2 Part 2 of the 10th schedule. Next, State Reserve Fund. The purpose is to assist state government that have deficit in their current account as well as to help implement the development throughout Malaysia that provide grant based on economic development, infrastructure and well-being of the respective state. We can see at the Article 109 of 109 Clause C of Federal Constitution, there is the allocation of State Reserve Fund. Next is the Revenue Growth Grant. Okay, Revenue Growth Grant is the amendment Act 2007 that given by the federal to state government whether there is a growth or increase by more than 10% in the revenue of the federation in any financial year as compared to the preceding financial year. Next, we can see the calculation of Revenue Growth Grant calculation at the page 48 in textbook. Okay, next is the expenditure for Article 98 of Federal Constitution. Expenditure including any grant, remuneration or other money charged by other article or federal law shall be charged to the Consolidated Fund, CF. There is the example of the expenditure, and the expenditure can be spent from CF without approval from the Parliament. For the explanation for expenditure, we can see ada Article 100, Article 102, Article 103, Article 101 and Article 109 of Federal Constitution. Next is Control and Management Fund. For Article 97, revenue or monies raised or received by both state and federal shall be paid into federal and state CF, exclude religious revenue. And for Article 104, no money should be withdrawn from CF except provided by federal law. There is the reason for the withdrawal. For borrowing, strictly regulated as this will increase public debts and have major implication on the ability for the government to meet its objective. Okay, for the explanation at the Article 111 Clause 1, Article 111 Clause 2, Article 112B, Article 111 Clause 3. Okay, and for the law, we have two types of law, law on domestic borrowing and law on external borrowing. The budget and financial statement. The budget is tool for controlling and managing public money, and financial statement is an avenue for the government to prove its performance. For Article 99 Clause 1, federal government must submit statement of estimate receipt and expenditure, statement of asset and liability. Article 99 Clause 4, required statement of asset and liability shown how the asset are invested or held and the general purpose of outstanding liabilities. Article 100 is the expenditure need to be included in supply bill. And Article 101, supplementary budget to be included to supply bill to be submit to Parliament. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Next is about Auditor General. Financial statements are to be audited by the Auditor General Department. Audit is an official inspection of the government's accounts to ensure that the public money are properly accounted for. It helps to promote and enhance accountability among the public officers. When the financial statements once audited, approved by the Parliament and GHAZALI, it will be known as the public account. Next is about National Finance Council. Article 108 of Federal Constitution established NFC to provide a venue in which representatives from federal and states to meet and discuss various issues concerning the financial aspects of both parties. The main duty of NFC is to coordinate important matters of federal and state finance. The representatives are Prime Minister, Minister and representative from state appointed by the ruler. When they will meet and discuss is as and when necessary by the Prime Minister, request by 3 or more representatives or at least once a year. The matter that they are discussing are making grants, tax or fee, loan, development plan and matter related to item 7F and G of Federal List. Next is some articles related to Auditor General in Federal Constitution. You can read more about Auditor General in textbook page 51. Next is special provision for Sabah and Sarawak, Article 112A, submission of report on account by Auditor General to Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. Article 112B, any borrowing should get approval from Central Bank. Article 112C, special grants and assignment of revenue. Article 112D, limitation in the relevant section in the 10th schedule. Financial Procedures Act 1957. This act describes in detail the financial provisions that has been laid down in Federal Constitution, especially in terms of accountability, and enforce the said provision. There are 6 main sections from this act that we will learn later. The objective of this act is to provide guidance for the control and management of public finance, to provide financial and accounting procedure, to provide guidelines on the collection, custody and payment of public monies, to provide the procedures for purchase, custody and disposal of public properties, to provide the authority for the investment of money standing in the consolidated funds, to define and explain in detail the 3 accounts of the consolidated funds, to enforce the provisions of the Federal Constitution relating to finance. The main section is definition of terms. The first term is financial authority. Financial authority used in relation to the Federal Consolidated Fund means the Treasury, and in relation to the Consolidated Fund of a state means the State Financial Authority. State Financial Authority refers to the principal officer by whatever title called in charge of the financial affairs of a state. The second term is financial year. It means a period of 12 months ending on 31st December in any year. The third term is public monies. It means all revenue, loan, trust and other monies, and all bonds, debentures and other securities. The fourth term is public stores. It chattels the property of or in the possession or under the control of the federation or of a state. The next term is accounting officers. It means every public officer who is charged with the duty of collecting, receiving, accounting, disbursing of public money, and with the receipt, custody or disposal of public stores. Section 4 states the duties of accounting officer. This main section is section 13, which is about financial procedures for payment. Any money withdrawn from the funds must be way of warrant. A warrant is a letter of authorization either from minister for the federal or MB or CM of states. Consolidated trust account, no money shall be withdrawn unless for trust purposes as authorized by the law. Warrant issued for any year shall lapse and cease at the close of 1 calendar month following the financial year. Section 15 about financial procedures for estimates. Estimates are to be prepared in order to show clearly the divisions and subdivisions of expenditure proposed, the amount expected to be received or spent for the year and purpose of such expenditure. For personal emolument, should show the approved number of public officers for each purpose of expenditure.
And now I will continue the presentation. Next is the financial procedure for variaments. The provision for variaments is stated in the section 15 clause 4 for the Financial Procedure Act 1957. What is variaments? Variaments is a transfer of allocation between subhead within the same head, such as transfer between the department of the same ministry. These variaments must be approved by the Treasury at the federal level or the state financial authority, provided that this amount has not exceeded a supply, act or enactment. After that, Supplementary budget must be prepared after all possible variants have been made, and no variance is allowed for the personal emolument. For deeper explanation, you can refer Section 15A about the controlling officer appointment. Financial procedure for written off. Section 70 of the Financial Procedure Act maintains that the Ministry of the Chief Minister has the power to authorize write-off of any losses or deficiencies. This power extends in the irrecoverable amount of revenue debt and overpayment. After that is custody and investment of a public fund. Under Section 8 of Financial Procedure Act state that all money paid to the consolidated fund should be kept in a bank according to the statutory requirement. At federal level, Section 8 Clause 3 Clause A state that money of the federation must be invested in a various way, while in the state level under Section 8 Clause 3 B explain that on the investment of the state public money. You can refer more in the table 4.5 at the page 57. And also, all interest received from the investment goes to the consolidated revenue account, except for the interest of investment of the trust fund. Now, let's discuss about the yearly statement of account. According to Section 16 of the Financial Procedure Act 1957, state that the annual statement of the government consists of a cons revenue account, con trust account, con loss account, statement of account of funds created by the Federal Constitution or by the Section 10 of the Financial Procedure Act 1957, and not accounted in the cons trust account, statement of assets and liability of the federal and state and other statement. They have to be present to the legislator after examined and audited by the Auditor General. Okay, next is Treasury Instruction and Treasury Circular. Treasury Instruction provide guidelines such as on the issuance of receipt, custody or unused receipt, recording of collection, lodgement of collection, and so on. So Treasury Instruction is revised in 1997, effective July 2008. The aim is to improve financial management competency of government agency by giving more flexibility to the core assigned officer in making decisions. To streamline and enhance procedure in Treasury Instruction suitable with the current situation and taking into account the Treasury Circular. There are 3 chapters of the Treasury Instruction, which is Chapter A, Financial Procedure, Chapter B, Accounting Procedure, and Chapter C, Audited Loss and Write-off Procedure. The Treasury Circular is a circular is issued from the time to time to provide information or amendment, approve, estimate, and detailed guideline on the certain procedure. You all can refer in the table 4.6, page 59, and it's provide an example of the Treasury Circular. Okay, next is the Government Accounting Standard. It is set up by the Accounting General in 2002. The objective is to prescribe the standard and the basis of the preparation of government financial statement in accordance with the requirement of the Federal Constitution and the Financial Procedure Act 1957, and it must be complied by the federal and the state government. For every number of PPK have its own particular, you all can refer in the table 4.7 in page 59 for the more detail. Altogether, they will have a 10 PPK. Okay, now is for International Public Sector Accounting Standard. It is developed by the International Federation of Accountants to the public sector communities. Set out a recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclose requirement dealing with the transaction and event in the general purpose financial statement of public entities. There are plenty of IPSAS. You can refer in all in table 4.8 in page 61. Okay, next is for the Malaysia Public Sector Accounting, MPASAS. It is based on the IPAAS and it applies to all public sector entities other than government business enterprise. Government business enterprise apply MFRS and peers issued by MASB. You can all refer in table 4.9, page 62. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.